Darkcast Network. The light shines brightest on our indie podcasts.
Hi, this is Jenna.
And this is Kelly.
You're listening to ODFM.
This episode is One Door from Murder.
Yeah. Sometimes I get so mad, there's no controlling me. My thoughts get so bad, I'm like, I might grab a bat, I don't know. My wrath, my blood boils over like, oh God, here goes. I lost all feeling from my head to my toes. You said some shit that I can't let go, so just stay tuned for the rest of the show.
We haven't just done Door, right?
Door. I think we saved it just in case.
Just in case.
So we did like dwelling and...
Right. And this could be something like that too, but totally. But
we haven't used Door.
We haven't used Door. So, this story's about crazy neighbors. Obviously.
Love it.
Love it. We've all got some. But
you know, it's always the neighbors of the serial killer that's like, he was very quiet and kept to himself, always very polite. Fun. I don't know.
Yeah, so we need to hear about these people. So this one, there's a lot of people in the story and a lot of different names. So
am I going to need to make a list and have a flow chart in front of me?
I thought of making a thing for behind me, but then I was like, oh, but then everybody'd have to see it. So that's a lot of work.
with the string across it with the
and this person
and the red
did
lines.
That to that person,
right.
Yes. But hopefully I've got it written cleanly enough that everyone can follow along. So
if I can follow it, anyone can follow it. Let's see what happens.
All right. So we're going up to Granite Falls, Washington.
Oh,
beautiful little area. I love Washington so much.
Sounds like I like the name of the town.
Looks pretty, right? It sounds pretty. So it's a small community. They're tucked up in the Cascade Mountains. So yeah, it has to be nice, right? And it began as a logging community.
Okay.
So
I think a lot of them did, right?
Yeah, I think all of that edge of the U.S. pretty much was logging. So it's popular with independent types who like their privacy and freedom from rules, as a lot of country folk do.
Yep.
There's a man named Martin Frank.
Okay.
He's 40, and he's one of those such independent types. So
okay.
Martin likes the peace and quiet, but everyone calls him Frank. So we're just going to call him Frank. Even though that's
so
his last name.
His last name, but it's a first name. So
right. So it can be confusing. So I figured for ease of use, we'll just call him Frank because that's what everyone calls him. He and his wife, Gaia, have lived in Granite Falls for about 15 years. They've loved their home. They've got some acreage. It's beautiful. They love their neighbors. It's really peaceful and quiet. Sounds nice.
So this is where shit's going to go wrong.
Right. Frank works at a lumber mill, as many of them do up there. And Gaia, this sounds like hell, but she runs a daycare out of her home.
Poor woman.
I knew a friend that did that, and she legit almost had a mental breakdown. Because, kids.
More power to the people who can do that.
Oh,
it's not
my God.
Thing.
They are needed.
They are.
Oof. Yeah, I could not
because
do it.
People like me can't do it.
Exactly. Most of us
my kid.
cannot handle these children. Oh, but the Franks, they have two teens. Their names are Jonathan and Stephanie.
Okay.
So there's Frank.
Frank. There's Frank, he's like Cher or Madonna.
Oh,
Frank.
He just has one name. He doesn't
just
need
Frank.
two names. He's just Frank. I could imagine a logo for him now.
Frank, the blonde ambition tour.
Oh, the blonde ambition tour. The barbecue tour. Okay, so next door to the Franks is another family with kids that have all grown up with their own kids. So it's like all these teens have grown up together. They've all gone to the same schools. They're all really close.
Okay.
Frank has always been one of the helpful neighbors in the neighborhood. He's a woodworker and he builds things. So he helps people with their ponds they're making or their pergolas and all that kind of stuff.
That's nice.
Yeah.
If there's anybody who lives on my street that listens to this who would like to let me know that they exist, I'd be thrilled to know.
Right. Other than that killer dude that lives near you.
He died. Oh, no, that guy. Oh,
yeah.
God. Man, I can't. I got to look him up.
He might be handy. Maybe he builds pergolas. Frank's a good one to have around because he offers a hand when neighbors need heavy labor. If he sees someone outside, he's the first to jump and be like, hey, man, can I help you?
That's so nice.
I know. So it seems like an idyllic neighborhood where all the kids know one another. The families have hangouts and they support each other. Seems great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds awesome.
Kenneth Jensen, 50.
Allow me to interrupt this happy
peaceful
mood.
Yes. Kenneth Jensen, he's 58. He's another neighborhood in the hood.
Another neighborhood in the hood.
He lives by himself. He's kind of a loner.
Okay.
He's a government file clerk, which also sounds like hell. But maybe at least if you're independent type and don't want to be around people, you're just in your own room.
He probably doesn't have a lot of deadlines. I don't get the impression that they're
the file clerks are
time
very
sensitive.
Yeah, pretty much not. In about 3 months, can you get this file for me? Sure.
Exactly. That's kind of how I picture it.
So Ken is a little bit more of the kooky sort.
Okay.
Which kind of works for that job, I assume. So he's reserved. He's a bit awkward. But everyone's friendly with him. He's been in the neighborhood for like 12 years. So he's been there.
Okay.
Everyone gets along with him. So this neighborhood, and we have these in our neighborhood. We have community mailboxes where you got to go down to the end of the street to get your mail.
Oh, right. Okay. Instead of it being at everybody's house. I gotcha. Yeah.
It sucks. I hate it. Anyway, they had that was just put up. And it's actually by the Frank's house. So everyone near there has to go down there to get their mail. And that is key in this story. Ken, when he has to pick up his mail, he has to go by their house.
Okay.
And he often waves hello. And the weird thing is he waves with his pinky instead of his hand. So he's like, hi.
It's a very odd, that's like giving minimal effort.
Right.
It's like,
it's just like,
it's the smallest finger you can use. So it's like,
I'm going to just give the little wave.
Amount of effort I possibly can.
So the worst part of that is the kids in the neighborhood call him Pinky because of this. He doesn't I know.
I mean, he's doing himself no favors.
That
brought bothers him.
I mean, change the way you wave. Do the queen.
Right, there you go. Although, Pinky has a connotation, and I think doing the queen is probably the same connotation, so I don't know if that's
probably true. Probably true, but he doesn't take offense to it as long as it's the kids saying it. He's just like, whatever, kind of gets a kick out of it. He's always exchanging chit-chat with the Franks when he goes and gets his mail. They're friendly and they're friends. So neighbors would invite Kenny to their get-togethers. Oh, and they called him Kenny.
Okay.
Instead of Pinky because of the kids. The kids called him Pinky, but everyone else called him Kenny.
Well, they should respect their elders. It should be Mr.
That's right.
Mr.
Pinky.
It should be,
That sounds like a character on something. I don't know.
Right?
Probably more on South Park. Mr. Pinky. That sounds like something South Park.
Exactly.
He gets invited to all these family get-togethers, and he goes. He doesn't talk to a lot of people, but he goes, and makes... He's friends with everyone. And it's 2001 at this point, and Kenny brings a friend by to meet the Franks. His name is Jay, and he's got exciting news. So he just bought the property next to the Franks.
Oh.
And that property has never been developed. It's heavily wooded. It's small acreage, and it's undeveloped.
Okay.
He's excited. He's friendly. He's nice. And the Franks are happy to have him in the neighborhood. Like, hey, we got a new neighbor. This land's finally getting developed next to us. Yeah. And Kenny's like super excited. He's got one of his close friends personally moving in near him.
Yeah.
Seems all on the up and up. But the normally quiet and calm neighborhood soon becomes filled with the chaotic noise and energy of a construction zone. Of course.
Oh, well, yeah.
You kind of have to. I mean, if you're going to...
You can't really get around that.
Yeah, especially, I don't think it even had water to the lot and all that kind of stuff. So they probably had to drill. To do. Yeah, it wasn't an easy job. Yeah, since the property is filled with trees, there's a lot of lumber to be cleared. So they have to bring in all these trucks and equipment. And even Jonathan, the Frank's teen son, gets hired to help.
Oh, well, that's
Jay.
nice.
Yeah, he's like, hey, you want to help me out? And he hired him and paid him. And so that's kind of cool. So all the Frank family is kind of excited to see what's going to come of it. Yeah, he's clearing out all the trees and stuff. And the construction and noise, it's annoying and grating for all the neighbors. But of course, they're like, we got to tolerate it. It'll be done sometime short term. So as the project goes on, Frank himself, he starts to notice, he's in the lumber industry and he does a lot of woodworking and he's like, this thing seems to be way more extensive than just a single family home. Seems like way bigger.
Okay.
He's starting to suspect that Jay is planning something far bigger than he's letting on.
Is it not zoned for residential. So...
Right. Yeah, it's just zoned for single-family dwellings with secondary in-home business uses.
Okay.
So kind of like they have, the Franks use it. However, the footprint for the building looked to be upward of 8,000 square feet on Jay's plans. Yeah.
Dude!
That's a mega house. That's like a McMansion.
How big is this lot?
Right. It's acreage, so he's got a lot of room.
Okay.
So I think they're kind of like, what is going on? Why is this so huge for a single man?
Yeah.
You know? He's also retiring, this older man. And he's older. He's, probably late 50s, early 60s. But so, yeah, that's them. They're kind of like, what? I don't know. So when Frank questions Jay about it, he's like, this doesn't really look like a single family home. It kind of looks a lot bigger, And Jay's like, no, man. It's just for me. Basically, the dream home I've always wanted to retire in.
The world's largest ranch.
So they're like, okay, it seems like a lot for an older guy to take on and take care of.
Yeah.
But maybe he's wanting something fancy and he's going to hire help, but it still is, something seems weird.
Okay.
Frank starts worrying that he's actually developing the property into like a fourplex or apartment complexes. Because from the look of the plans, that's what it looks like to him.
But yeah, that's not.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be legal. So, but to him, he's super worried about it. I don't want this place that I've called home for 15 years, my idyllic neighborhood, to turn into like this mega urban development center.
That wasn't what it was supposed to be. Yeah.
Yeah. The idea began to weigh on Frank heavily. And he starts getting a bit pushy with Jay. He's accusing him of lying about his plans. And he's like, you need to show me these permits and prove you're not building this high density complex.
Can't you just call the city on him or something?
So Jay starts to be like, screw you, dude. You can't tell me what to do with my own land. So they're starting this, it's starting to build. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Tensions.
Yeah, tensions are starting. So this only made things worse. And since Kenny's friends with both men, he's like trying to be the middleman, kind of. Calm each other down and make peace. So he stops by Frank's house and he tries to calm his fears. He's like, man, you don't need to worry about Jay. I've known him a long time. He's a great guy. He doesn't have any nefarious plans.
Okay.
Just let the guy get his work done. That sort of thing. And Frank, though, is like, no, something's wrong here. And he gets pissed at Kenny for bringing a friend in to build next to him. Like, he's like, how dare you do this to me? And ruining his idea of utopia. The negativity between the three begins snowballing.
Shit.
Yeah, Frank is dead sure that Jay is lying about what he's building, and he's determined to stop the construction.
Oh, boy.
So now the long-term friendship with Kenny is fractured, and Frank begins to see him in cahoots with Jay, like picking his side, even though we've been friends for 12 years. You're picking that guy's side, type of thing.
Oh, my God. Are they all in high school?
They're all BBs. They're
what the hell?
BBs.
God.
So Frank starts pulling stunts, like blocking Jay's access to his own land, so he can't do construction. So all the trucks, the materials that are lining up, they can't even get down the street to Jay's place to work.
Why are they being such babies? Oh, my God.
Exactly. Not a good start to moving into your new neighborhood.
Right.
So, instead of giving up and letting things be, Frank starts filing grievances against Jay with the city. Mm-hmm. He begins attending city council meetings every month, and he's pressuring the town, you need to look into this. Jay is planning something way bigger than he's saying. Look into this. It's ridiculous, these guys. Kind of seems like my town. But anyway, Kenny...
I digress.
Kenny starts attending planning commission meetings with Jay to help support his friend and his right to build on his property, whatever he wants. So for Frank, knowing Kenny's supporting Jay instead of looking out for what Frank believed was best for the neighborhood, starts, making his blood boil.
Oh, God, here we go.
Yeah, so Frank's efforts with the town, with filing grievances against Jay's building plans, actually slows Jay's progress. Oh, and somewhere in here I left it out, but Jay also put a restraining order out on Frank.
Oh.
And they're next door.
They're neighbors, right?
Oh, yeah, how do you do that?
That's complicated.
Progress on Jay's building slows because all these grievances are building up. And in fact, word grinds to a halt on Jay's property while the town unravels the permitting, property rights, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, boy.
So not only is this aggravating for Jay, it comes at a heavy cost to his wallet because, when you're building a place, you take out loans. And when you take out loans to build, the banks put strict timelines on building.
Yikes.
And when things need to be completed by. And if you don't do those, you get a ton of fines. They start building. So Jay's not able to move forward on anything. And he's being fined left and right by the loan holders. It's just not looking good.
It's getting ugly.
It's getting ugly. So Kenny tries once again to approach his old friend. He's like, Frank, please back off. I mean, Jay, this is his dream. This is his own venture. He explains that Jay has sunk his entire life savings into this. This is his retirement. I mean, he's worked all his life for this.
Just let him do his thing.
Everything he squirreled away, he put into it. Yeah, just please let him do his thing. He's only planning his dream home to retire. He begs Frank to stop messing with Jay's dream and just freaking stay out of his business. But
that's hard.
Oh yeah, he's still worrying about the fourplex apartment complex. He's like getting obsessed about those shit. It's kind of ridiculous. But
he needs a new TV show. He needs something on Netflix to binge.
Like some woodworking competition. I don't know.
There you go. Yep.
Oh, this seems to do their talk about Kenny coming to talk to Frank. All it does is do what it normally does to him and infuriates him more. So he feels like he's being lied to and played as a fool by both Kenny and Jay now.
Oh my God.
I know. He's like a little baby. So the talk escalates to a shouting match. The entire neighborhood can hear the shit. So it's the last straw for Kenny. He's done. He's done trying to be the peacekeeper. And now he's completely on Jay's side and ready to help his friend fight the neighborhood bully, basically. That's Frank.
Yep. Okay.
So neighbors all around agree Frank's taken things too far and he's being a bully. So they all feel bad for Jay, but they also don't really want to bring Frank's wrath on themselves.
Gotcha.
So, because he can be pretty aggressive. Eventually, Jay runs out of funding between the fines and having already invested all his savings in the property. Yeah. He's forced to abandon his dream home.
Like mid-home?
Yep. Like they didn't even get to start it, basically. They cleared the land. And that was it.
So basically he has somewhere where he could camp.
Basically. Yep. And so he has to leave. He has no other money. He can't do anything else. He has to abandon it. And you'd think that would be the end of the feud, right? But
no?
It's not.
Oh, no.
You'd be wrong. Yeah. So instead of things quieting down with Jay having been run off, tensions between Frank and Kenny actually escalate. And I'm sure, Kenny's probably irate that his good friend lost everything due to Frank and was run out of the neighborhood. Every time the two saw each other, insults would fly.
Which is every time the mail came.
Yeah, exactly. So Kenny would go down to get the mail. Frank would see him and Kenny would taunt Frank saying, you're batshit crazy. Have you been to see the loony bin lately? Types of things like that. Yeah, and Frank would say things like, Kenny, you're in a sexual relationship with your dog and everyone knows it. I mean, really stupid.
Come on.
Stupid, childish, mean crap.
Oh, come on.
And it just keeps getting worse and worse. Exactly. Everyone knows it. So Gaia, Frank's wife, she's having to deal with her husband's over-the-top anger. The feud with Kenny, probably the fear that they'll see one another and she'll have to break up yet another annoying yelling match.
Yeah.
Plus, Gaia's trying to run her daycare amongst all the tension.
Oh, God, right?
Yeah. So she's like legitimately has all these kids out front sometimes or, and all these inappropriate, nasty comments are being hurled both by her husband and Kenny in front of the kids.
She's going to lose kids. She's going to, parents are going to be like, sorry, I can't have my kids
And she's trying to shield them from it all, but she's just like, God, I cannot deal with this. This is stupid. It has to cause a ton of tension between her and her husband, I would assume. I don't know.
Yeah.
It seems like there's no going back from the conflict and neither one's backing down. They almost seem to become obsessed with making one another more angry because that's fun and that's a great way to handle.
These guys need a hobby, man. They need a hobby.
God. Go fishing.
Show to binge, a new thing to do. Can I suggest macrame bondage?
I've heard that is very tension relieving.
Right.
Good Lord. I know. So Kenny starts ramping up his bullying campaign. He's doing things like standing on public property outside the Franks' home and just staring at them.
What the hell?
I don't know. So Gaia would run out the front to confront him and she's like, you're scaring my daycare kids. Freaking leave.
Yeah.
And he'd just say, "Oh, I'm just getting my mail. What do you own that to?" Stupid, like childish crap like that. So it's not just him.
I'm annoyed with them. I'm ready to take them both out.
I know. Me too. So John, the Frank's teen son, he would hear the chaos and he'd come out to defend his mom. You know, as he heard Kenny would saying the shitty stuff he would say to Frank to Gia.
Right.
He's also bestowing her with insults, basically. When Frank would get home, he'd hear everything Kenny was doing while he's away at work. And then he'd go on the warpath. And it's just this like cycle daily. Like, I would leave, but.
Oh my God. This is very unhealthy for everyone involved.
So Frank, a little bit about him. People said he's the type that you instinctively knew not to pick on. So he's not overly tall. He's maybe 5'10".
Okay.
But he's an imposing sort of guy. Pretty muscular.
Okay.
Outspoken and domineering.
Gotcha.
And he knew how to take care of himself in a fight.
Don't fuck with him. Don't fuck with Frank.
Right. Don't fuck with FF.
Right.
So Gaia, she would hear the arguments. I mean, this is like daily. She'd hear the arguments outside. She'd have to go get her husband, like pull him inside physically before things got out of control. And it doesn't seem like Frank had the best self-control. So
right.
Kenny, meanwhile, he's only like 5'6", and he's, 10 years older at least. He's not an imposing character at all. He's just a small little guy, but he's not backing down. And Kenny seems more like the meek type normally, but this seems to be like the stand he decides to
this is where he's gonna
in his life. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, this is the one he picked, huh? Okay.
And he seems to kind of enjoy poking the bear and seeing how far he could push him before he snaps. So that's fun.
But this isn't one of those like comedy movies where they're going to get in like a situation together and become besties.
No.
We're in a true crime podcast.
Yeah. So bottle rockets begin exploding outside the Frank's home one night.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I know. They're like freaking teenagers. It's ridiculous.
Oh,
so like legitimately it seemed like they were flying straight at their house. Like someone was holding them out there and shooting them at their house.
Shit. And there's little kids there.
Yes. Like,
well, probably not at night, but still.
Yeah, this was at night, but still. Frank is sure Kenny's the one messing with them. I mean, who else is going to be doing it? Right. So, of course, he couldn't leave well enough alone. He has to one-up his own counter-assault on...
Did he start, like, shooting, like, actual dynamite at the other house?
Oh, just we wait. So...
Jesus.
Yeah. He felt like if he didn't respawn, he'd lose all street cred. Like, street cred in the hood? What? So... I'm so disrespectful unless I can show I'm more powerful.
God. Do you know what the name of their street was, just out of curiosity? It's like probably some like really sweet, pretty name.
It is a sweet, pretty name.
And he's looking for like, he wants to have his cred.
He wants the
on
street cred.
And the street's like, Whispering River or something stupid.
Oh my God. It's
picturing it.
Somewhere.
Whispering Pine Lane.
Probably. It's got to be something like that. I'm going to have to look it up and let you know.
I was just curious.
I know it's on there somewhere because I remember seeing it and didn't put it in my story. But yes, you're right.
Well, because you wouldn't think it would make...
Street cred in Whispering Pines.
Exactly.
Frank, not to be outdone, he goes and gets his shotgun.
Oh, yeah, that's taking it several levels.
Mm-hmm. He loads it with bird dispersing shells, which I guess I kind of knew these existed, but I never heard them. So bird dispersing rounds are just like M80s. You shoot them up into the air to disperse birds out of the air. You shoot them up in the air. They go silently up when shot, and then they explode in huge concussions that sound like bombs.
Oh, to like really scare the birds.
Yeah.
I hope you're not standing under them because they're just going to shit all over. They're going to be like, oh God!
It'll be a shit bomb. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
So now all the neighbors are pissed and annoyed. Like, come on, children.
Oh my God.
Get to bed, babies.
Right.
So Frank's he seems to get a rush out of it. He thinks that it's the most fun night of his life. He's like, I won that conflict. Winner, winner. I am the winner. So as for the Frank's teens, they're starting to get increasingly embarrassed by their dad's behavior.
Right.
They're like, are you kidding me?
Mom, can I take a DNA test? I'd really like to know if maybe I'm not related to this man.
I'm not 100% that bitch.
Right.
So John himself, the son, he's conflicted. He hates how his dad's acting, but he's like, I have to have his back. You know, this is my dad. But Stephanie, the daughter, she's like, you're stupid. I
don't have to have anything to do with this.
I don't want to do anything to do with you. You guys are stupid. She's pissed, and it's a constant source of anxiety for everybody.
God.
It's ridiculous. Neighbors step in to try to cool things down between the two households because they all know each other.
Right.
So they'd go talk to both Kenny and Frank, and they're like, can you just not let things get
this exhausting for everybody.
No, just chill out. Let's go back to what we were. Jay's gone. You don't need to worry about this anymore.
Can we send them to couples therapy?
Oh my God, that'd be amazing.
Frank and Kenny.
That could be a new reality TV show. Feuding Neighbors.
Feuding Neighbors. Yeah, if Discovery or TLC or anything
probably
would like to
Fox.
Talk to us about... yeah, it's probably more Fox. You're right.
Yeah. They'd probably like this idea. Feuding neighbors. Let's all live together in the house.
Put them all in a house, but then they also have to go to therapy together and like talk about their feelings.
Oh God.
No, you need to be quiet and listen to what he has to say.
That would be amazing. Wow. And then they have challenges and competitions
just
to amp up. My M80 bird dispersing shots are way better than your bottle rockets.
Oh my God. Right. Oh my God. Okay.
That could be amazing. Yes. So, okay. The neighbors would go talk to them all. It's starting to affect all their lives. Like,
yeah, I bet.
The entire neighborhood. Neighbors stop hanging around outside.
That's insanity. That the entire neighborhood is being affected by this stupidity.
Anything. Like, you couldn't invite either one or both to your place because the other would be pissed, and then you'd be a part of it. It's just so stupid. Kids are no longer allowed to play outside because of it because they're afraid something big's happening.
Well, yeah.
One day, John, the teen, he's in his room. He's eating lunch, playing video games, trying to get away from the daycare kids.
Yeah, right. He's basically hiding from the daycare.
Because that's got to be annoying, too. They've got daycare in their house. So he's sitting there eating lunch. He hears like a loud truck engine revving, and it's like constantly going, and it's making all this noise and sound outside. And he's like, that's weird, because they live at the end of this cul-de-sac.
Okay, so it's like, all right, it's still going.
Why is nobody comes to this end of the street? Because it's a dead end, I guess. I guess theirs was a dead end road. That was it. Here's this truck, and then sounds like it's driving in their yard. So he finally's like, ugh, and he puts down his lunch, puts down his games. I
suppose I have to go see.
Suppose I'll go look outside. So he goes out and he sees that a truck had driven through their front lawn, dug up the grass, crushed their flower beds, ran over their potted plants, created a huge mess. And by the time Gaia and John had gotten outside, they see a truck ripping away, but they didn't see who was driving it. So they assume, of course, gotta be Kenny.
It's destruction of personal property. We're just like making things worse. Now we're doing illegal shit.
Yep. And of course, daycare kids all see this. Get to go home and tell their family what they saw. Mm-hmm.
Well, and I'm sure when they came to pick it up, they're like, "Oh, this is interesting what you've done with the place."
Yep, that was the exact other next line was by when they were coming to pick up all the kids, they saw the place
hell
trashed.
Happened here?
Yeah, I mean, is my kid safe?
She's gonna lose her business.
Yep. So she gets to a breaking point, Gaia does, when the daycare clients begin dropping like flies, calling in and saying, this is an unsafe situation for my child. I'm going to spread the word.
Yeah. Fuck.
Now her business is being ruined by the children, not her the children she's taking care of, but the man babies.
The man babies, yeah.
She begs Frank. Like, probably slapped him with a few choice words, too.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Put an end to this. This is just
you say beg,
ridiculous.
But really it was demand.
Right. So she felt she had finally gotten through to Frank, like, okay, he's going to go put an end to this, you know, and he's going to make peace with Kenny. So that night, when Kenny stops by the community...
the mailbox.
The mailbox, yes. Frank comes flying out the door to confront him and tells him it's time they go settle things up on the mountain loop.
What is it, like high noon? Let's go, and
it's duel time.
Right.
Get your guns. Yeah,
I don't think that's what his wife meant.
No, I don't think she meant to settle it that way. I think she meant to make peace with him.
Bury the hatchet?
Yeah.
Not
that's how he would like to bury the hatchet. Yeah. So the mountain loop was apparently a place where had a legend of being the area where bodies are dropped off after murders, that kind of thing. So it was almost another threat. Instead of saying,
Right, it came off really well.
I would just freaking slap that man if I was married to somebody. Like, come on.
Oh my God.
So in response to that, Kenny opens his car door, which he had driven down to get the mail from, and he pulls out a gun to show Frank that he's armed.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And then he leaves. He doesn't do anything. He just pulls out this gun. La, 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 got a gun.
Just wanted to show this off. Okay.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So Gaia, or one of the Franks possibly, calls the police, tells them about the incident. Police come to talk to Kenny, and Kenny's like, yeah, I showed Frank I have a gun, but that's just to get him to back off because he keeps threatening me. So he swears, I didn't point it directly at him. I did nothing wrong. And
it's just one of those things. Oh, did this fall out of my car?
Whoops, look at that. There's a gun. Oops. Oh, it's not a squirt gun either. Police are like, yeah, you can have your gun, but don't be flashing it at people. Come on, And that's all they can do because he didn't really break any laws. He's the legal carrier of it. So they go to talk to Frank as well. Tell him, stop being a freaking bully. Stop this nonsense. Stop your threats. And neighbors come visit Kenny after the incident, and they're like, please just move away. Someone needs to do something. You're the guy with no family or anything. Can you just move away? And before someone gets hurt, So he's like super offended. He's like, why do I have to be the one to leave when clearly Frank's the bully everyone's afraid of? So I'm not going to leave because I'm not going to be intimidated.
Right.
It's so annoying, these men. I know. So instead of trying to avoid Frank, Kenny would ride his bike by Frank's house, always armed with his handgun. Like, yeah, you can't fuck with me. I've got a gun.
And wave his pinky?
Yeah. Hello. Here's my gun. Pew, pew. So you think Frank would probably back off a bit when he's like, yeah, there's a gun involved. But no, of course not. Instead, he ramps it up with insults every chance he gets. It may have been like an attempt to get Kenny to point it at him so that charges could be filed,
Right.
But Kenny, he had seen one time that Stephanie, Frank's daughter, had come running out of the house, yelling at her dad, telling him how embarrassing he was about his behavior and stuff and how embarrassed she was to be his daughter. And so Kenny used that like, oh, you must be an awful father. Even your daughter doesn't want, Oh, just stupid stuff. And neighbors would come out when they saw like, Kenny's coming to the box. Everybody come out. Let's try to make peace.
God. Right.
And they try to calm him down, but they all felt that it was just a matter of time before the situation turned bloody. And
it was getting bad.
And they're right.
How long had this been going on at this point?
Just about a year of the feud.
God, it's like the longest year ever.
It's the longest year ever. I think it started in 2000. But, I mean, they've been friends for 12 years. It did.
God.
The years that keep on going, yeah. So on a very hot day in August of 2001, Frank and I want to always say Gia, but it's Gaia. Frank and Gaia.
You just corrected yourself.
Gaia. Frank and Gaia were sitting outside enjoying some lemonade. It's like super hot out. They're having some lemonade. For Gaia, it's like the first time they're kind of actually relaxing in about a year. And Frank seemed finally not on edge, and they discussed him once again ending the fight with Kenny.
Okay.
And he seemed more open to it at this point.
Okay.
But the peaceful feeling soon changed when Kenny rode up on his bike. And he starts throwing out the insults.
Kenny, isn't there anywhere else you can bike?
Go away. Yes. He starts insulting Frank's mental state, accusing him of needing to be put in an institution, that sort of thing. So that's fine. So Frank stands up to go confront Kenny, and instead of staying outside to once again watch the men acting like dumbasses, Gaia goes inside. She's angry that Frank won't be the bigger man. They just talked about it. Be the freaking bigger man. Walk away. But she just goes inside. There's a bunch of daycare kids there, so she probably they'd been watching a show or something, so she's like, I'm going to go take care of the kids.
Blue's Clues is over anyway. Let's just...
Yep. I'm just going to go feed these kids. Yeah. So Frank runs over there. He grabs Kenny's bike by the handlebars so he can't ride away, yelling at him in the face.
Oh, Jesus.
Not letting him go. So Kenny has this messenger bag that he slung across the shoulder he'd ride around with, and he'd always put his handgun in the back. put his hand in the bag, fires the gun through the bag at Frank, shoots him. And John's inside, the teen boy. He hears a bang. And so he's like, oh, God, what's happening now? So he casually walks outside the house, past all the daycare kids, go look outside. And he sees Kenny standing with the bike still between his legs. A huge hole in that leather satchel.
Oh, my God.
And the body of his dad, Frank, laying on the ground.
And all the daycare kids are there?
Yep. All the daycare kids are there.
That's over.
Yep.
No more.
No more of that. Jonathan runs inside. He's yelling at his mom. Dad is dying. Call 911, you know. And she runs outside. She sees Frank on the gun. No, he's on the ground. Blood pooling around him. Jesus. A hole through his chest.
Oh, my God.
By that time, Kenny's gone. Paramedics get Frank to the hospital. Kenny, meanwhile, rides his bike to the police station because he did have somewhere else to go now.
Okay.
He walks in, drops the satchel with the giant hole in it and the gun on the counter, and he says, I just shot my neighbor.
And nobody had to ask any questions because they all knew exactly what he was talking about.
Yep, they've all been dealing with this shit for a long time. Kenny's read his rights, and while he's at the police station, officers get a call from the hospital letting them know that Frank is dead.
Yeah.
So now Kenny's up for murder charges. And he claims, oh, my life was in danger, so I shot Frank out of self-defense, you know.
Okay, but you rode your bike over there. This has been going on. You've both been participating.
Right.
I don't think you can... He didn't come to your house. You went to his house.
And he knew. And he's the one throwing insults at this. It's like he was egging him on. Like,
right.
I mean, they both sucked, but still.
Right.
It later is discovered that a child saw the whole thing. But, yeah, a neighborhood kid. And I don't think it was the daycare kids. It was a neighborhood kid. But it's unclear whether they were close enough to testify as to what actually happened. So police didn't believe Ken had a legitimate self-defense claim.
I don't either, personally, but, you know, that's just me.
I mean, just the way it was with a hidden gun and all the kinds of stuff. And obviously they had on file all this crap that was going on.
Right.
Ken, during his trial, he did go to trial. During his trial, he adds more violent details to his story to try to pump up the self-defense claim. But police are like, yeah, that's not how
I don't think so.
No. And it didn't work. And he was convicted of second-degree murder. He received 16 years in prison and was, get this, banished from the city of Granite Falls, Washington.
You can do that.
I am so excited to hear that this is a possibility because...
Why the fuck is the guy living in Aurora that I...
I know! Maybe you could get him banished.
Can I get him banished?
It sounds like witchcraft, and I'm here for it.
I have banished you.
I know! We could, like, there's a force field and they can't walk through it.
Is that like basically like when he gets out, he cannot live on Whispering Pines anymore or whatever? Sorry.
He cannot live anywhere in Granite Falls, Washington, supposedly. Shit. So for the Franks, it's of course beyond devastating. Not only do they lose their family member, but they also lose their main breadwinner. Yeah. And their second breadwinner doesn't have a business anymore. I know, because although the odds of another murder happening right then is pretty small. But still. So, but would you trust a family? No, I'd be like, I don't think so. No. The family, though, they all work hard with each other to make ends meet. Gaia goes back to school and becomes an RN. She's like, I'm done with this daycare crap because now I have no clients because they're all afraid. Well, now if there's more bloodshed in our neighborhood, she will know how to handle it. Seriously. And then their son, John, he did 2 tours in Iraq and came back and got a degree in business. Good for him. And Stephanie followed in her mom's footsteps. She got her RN license and works at a hospital. Oh, gosh. Okay. So they did end up deciding to move and leave the bad memories behind. The same year they leave the neighborhood, Ken is successful in getting his case reopened. In fact, his initial conviction is overturned and he's given a new trial. Based on what? I don't know. They didn't have a lot of details about it, but this time he gets second-degree manslaughter and he's released after serving just 4 years. Whoa. And I'm not sure if he was still banished from the town because in the show I watched, there was a neighbor who was the next door neighbor of the Franks. She had been a longtime friend, grew up with John next door. She was a teen with him. They were like best friends. She was at a store and freaking Kenny rides by on his bike. And she sees him. She's like, what? I had no idea he was out of prison. Didn't know what to do. They locked eyes and she was just like shocked.
Oh my God.
Just went on. Freaky. So he's out there somewhere living his best life.
Any idea whatever happened to Jay and his half-done property or anything?
No idea. And they didn't say anything about that. I was like, dang, God, it just ruined all these lives. Partly because Frank overreacted to everything.
All because they were big friggin' babies.
All of them. Yeah. Had they just let the guy build what he was going to build.
Is there a D word for big baby for murder?
One diaper. No, we did diaper.
We did diaper.
One diaper pants. So did you want to hear my sources?
Wow. Yes, I do. Oh my God, I'm so frustrated.
I know. It was so frustrating watching the show about it because I was like, as the wife, I probably would have left him before.
Oh, seriously.
But yeah. And I remember.
Here, I'm going to solve all of this. I'm going to kick your ass out. Go live somewhere else.
Go live somewhere else until you can get your shit under control. So the cinemaholic.com was one.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Heraldnet.com.
I thought you were like the Daily Herald. No, just Herald.
No, Herald.
Just Herald, like the guy.
Spelled like the guy.
He was one of the neighbors.
He's like, I got a blog about this shit. This is crazy. That would have been smart. Maybe they did. The show I watched was Fear Thy Neighbor, Mailbox Madness.
Who writes these fucking titles?
No, Mailbox Madness. Come on.
I mean, we try to be funny and snarky, but that's just stupid.
It's totally just stupid.
What show was that?
The Fear Thy Neighbors. Have you watched those?
Oh, no, I haven't seen those yet.
They're great, yeah. But
Mailbox
it does make
madness.
Like you, I was so frustrated hearing about these men acting like children that I was like, are you freaking kidding me? It could have all just been...
His poor wife, who was like, okay, I am babysitting children who need an adult to supervise them, and I'm married to a guy who can't supervise himself.
To a child. I have to constantly be leaving to go stop fights. I know.
That's so ridiculous.
Stupid. Yeah.
Okay, that's totally ridiculous.
So I don't know. Yeah, if we can think of something else.
No, I think door is good.
Yeah, if the guy had ever been able to get a door, that would have been nice.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Can we do that? The one guy never actually got to the point where he had a door.
One doorless.
One doorway. He only had the. No, he didn't even have the way.
He didn't even have. No, he had.
He had
no more
clearing.
Wood. He had a clearing.
He just had a clearing.
Hey, Oddies. Thanks for listening to another episode of ODFM. If you're a longtime listener, hey, we cannot thank you enough for your continued support. And if you're a new listener, thanks for giving us a try. If you like us, please drop us a like, subscribe, or rate us so we can share our stories with more people around the world. And if you'd like more information, like links to our podcast and socials, along with our Patreon fan page, those links are all on Linktree under ODFM Podcast. That's linktr.ee/ODFM Podcast. Side note, you guys, we're obsessed with fan art, and we love making things with it, like stickers for our fans. So if you'd like us to use your designs, send it to us at odfmpodcast@gmail.com. And if we use your design, we'll be sure to send you a sticker.
Thanks for listening to another episode of ODFM, hosted by Kelly DeVries and Jenna Swanson. Production and editing by Kelly DeVries. Theme music by Eric Swanson. ODFM is a satirical true crime podcast for entertainment purposes only. The stories you hear are serious and true. The comments and opinions are not. We apologize if any of our content is harmful or disrespectful.